What is up, everybody? Welcome in to the Golden Edge Mailbag. I'm Ben Gotz. He is Adam Hill. We are your Review Journal Golden Knights reporters. Not coming to you live today, unfortunately, due to some technical issues. But if you do want to leave us a question in the comments, we will make sure to get to it on the RJ Facebook page. As always, you can also hit us up with questions. I'm at Ben S. Gotz on Twitter. He is at Adam Hill LVRJ. Or you can email me at bgoats@reviewjournal.com. Or, like I said, leave a question in the comments. We'll try to get to it next week. But for now, we got plenty to talk about, Adam. The Golden Knights are in the middle of a franchise record 4-game losing streak during the regular season, that is.
Was there a longer one or a similar one in the postseason at some point?
I was told there's one that tied it during the postseason. I'm sure fans don't want to be reminded about that right now. They do want to talk about some other things, though, so we got plenty in the comments. Let's get it started with this great one from Twitter. Are you related to Stu Gotz? I believe that's for me, the ESPN radio personality. Oh, I like the little birthday hat there.
Yes, I believe that's Stu Gotz.
Exactly. And I believe it's all one word is his actual radio name.
Really?
Yeah, so I get why the person would ask it that way, though. But unfortunately, no, we are not related because I don't even think that's his real name.
Are you sure, though?
I believe that's a radio personality name. There's a lot of lights going on right now that I was not prepared for. This is, I believe, because it's my birthday today.
What?
So, yes.
Wow.
Fun fact. February 5th is a great day at the Gotz household. Not for Stu Gotz, though, because he's not a part of our household. So
Happy birthday anyway.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Happy birthday to Stu, if his birthday is the same also. I don't know.
I believe not, but thank you sincerely to everyone who has wished me happy birthday. But we got plenty of hockey to talk about. I found this comment really intriguing from Paul. The problem all season has been very little scoring from the defense and bad defensive play from Derek Englund, Colin Miller, and John Merrill. So I'm going to address mainly the first part of this comment because the second part, I think Englund and Merrill especially have had both good and bad moments defensively. Merrill actually has a positive plus-minus, and I think he's been pretty good after struggling early in the year. And Colin Miller, of course, is not on this team for his defensive acumen for the blue line. He's here because he's a great offensive defenseman. But in terms of scoring, the Knights are actually 12th in points out of defensemen so far, but they are 10th out of the 16 teams in line to make the playoffs as of yesterday when I looked this up. So it's a good part of the team, not a great part of the team, Adam.
Yeah, they're kind of right in the middle of the pack. I wouldn't say that has stood out as a huge problem to me this season. I think scoring in general has been an issue at times. Now, if you look at the overall numbers, they've put up some pretty good scoring totals, but there's been stretches where there just hasn't been enough offensive play, and that goes for the forwards and the defensemen. And I just don't think this is something that has been a glaring weakness on this team. But as you mentioned, the teams that are in the playoff mix do tend to have defensemen that contribute on the offensive end. So, you know, they're 12th overall, but 10th among playoff teams. That will tell you the playoff teams have guys contributing all over the ice.
Right. Now, obviously, those numbers are hurt because Nate Schmidt was out for 20 games with his suspension. I'm sure other teams have similar excuses, though, so not like a total just cop-out there for the Knights. But Shea Theodore's played well. He's contributing offensively. You got Nate Schmidt who contributes offensively. Colin Miller contributes offensively. And then you've got guys like Braden McNabb and Derek Englund where that's just not their role. Their job isn't to score. And you've got a couple guys who don't really give you much of anything on the offensive end, and that's fine because they give you so much on the defensive end.
I think the Golden Knights are much more concerned about their first line scoring than they are about their defensemen scoring.
Yeah, so we talked about this on our recent podcast. You can check that out at reviewjournal.com/podcast, I believe, or iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts. But the first line is kind of right now just a first line in name only. They've mixed it up a little bit, but especially William Karlsson and Jonathan Marchessault have been struggling lately.
Yeah, and you know, getting Riley Smith back should help at some point, but he's kind of back in the mix on the third line, so we'll figure out when he goes back into that normal spot, if he does at all. If they want to mix things up and, you know, have a more productive third line, which then you'd have Zykov more permanently on the first line, we'll find out. But I think a lot of what they're doing right now is mixing and matching, trying to find the right patterns, trying to find the right rhythm and combinations to make, you know, that first line as productive as it was last year. And they might not get to that point. Fortunately, right now, they've got a second line that has been pretty productive for them and has been consistent for quite a while. So it gives the first line a little bit of time, but they're going to need that first line to be much more productive if they want to make another deep run in the playoffs. And now, if you get some production from that third line, as it looks like they've got productive guys there that have that potential, that will be huge as well.
Yeah, it's just really been a very big difference between the 2 years of that first line then to now. I mean, last year we were talking about William Karlsson and Jonathan Marchessault were both nearly point-per-game players. They were scoring a lot for this team, and they were combined plus 85 on the ice, so that's huge. And then you fast forward to this year, they're combining for about 0.6 points per game, so that's about a 33% reduction in their offensive production. And then, of course, you see they're minus 11 combined this year, so not only are they struggling more offensively, there's been a letdown defensively too, and that you really just can't have that working on both ends.
Yeah, that's not a good formula for success when you have the first line falling off that much in production.
Yeah, and I want to go to another question that I actually got this last weekend, but I still kind of want to talk about the points it addresses. Do you think Fleury plays back-to-back last weekend? That is from @BoDeezy. I thought that was a great question because when he asked that to me, I legitimately did not know if the Golden Knights were going to trust Maxime Lagacé to go in because they played back-to-back Friday against the Carolina Hurricanes and then Saturday against the Florida Panthers. They did trust Lagacé Friday against the Carolina Hurricanes, but it was not probably the performance that Lagacé was hoping for in his season debut for the Knights.
And I think it did a couple of things. Certainly Fleury could have played back-to-back. We've seen him do it this season, and coming off a long break, he could have done it. So I think it was a couple of things. I think first, they did want to give Fleury one extra day. Of course, his break didn't start when everybody else's did because he went and participated in the All-Star festivities. So he didn't have quite as long of a break. And also, I think they wanted to see what they had in Lagacé. They wanted to give him a chance, put him out there on the ice and say, hey, Subban's going to be back soon, so you're probably going back to the minors, but let's see what you've got. Can we count on you? And I think the answer in that game was no. It wasn't the best game. It wasn't the smoothest game. But it was, hey, let's see where you're at. Let's see where you're at, what you have to work on. We want to get a look at you out on the ice, and they were able to do that. And now I think Subban's closer to coming back, and I think they're comfortable with where Lagacé is, and they know what they have in him, but they can go back and settle back into their regular rotation with Subban coming back on the bench and Fleury starting most of the games.
Yeah, I don't expect to see Lagacé back up with the Knights for too long once Subban's ready to go out of injured reserve. It looks like he at least got on the ice somewhat yesterday. Maybe not for full practice Monday in Tampa Bay, but he's at least doing some things on the ice now. So I wouldn't expect to see Lagacé again this stint without him going back to the AHL.
It says a lot that he's on the trip even.
Yeah, absolutely.
Subban could have stayed back and worked on rehab and everything else back here, but he is on the trip with the team, so that should tell you that he's progressing well.
Right, but tough spot for Lagacé. His team did not look very fresh because they were coming off a week off, so a little bit rusty. The Hurricanes were coming off a week off too, but they're at home, so maybe a little bit easier for them to knock off that rust. But then, a couple bad moments for Lagacé too. He had the poke check that got away from him that led to a pretty easy goal for the Hurricanes. He got beat on a bad angle backhand shot by Aho. Probably would like to have that one back.
Yeah.
But, these things happen, especially in a season debut. I think a lot of nerves were going on for him, so tough spot, but that's actually how it goes in professional sports sometimes. You get your opportunity and you got to deliver.
Can't always be your birthday, Ben.
Can't always be your birthday. Yeah. We got one more question. This from Linda. Had some fun email conversations with Linda. Can the public go and watch practices? Is it crowded? Do you have to pay to park? So for those of you who might not know yet, yes, you could go and watch practices. Keep an eye out for the Golden Knights Twitter feed. I think that's the best way for fans to get updated as to when practices are and stuff. But at City National Arena, they're open to the public. You can sit wherever. It is crowded, so I would suggest getting there at least 15, 20 minutes, if not earlier, because there will be fight for spots.
No, not fights.
Not fight, not literal.
There will be, yes. You have to find your spot, and no, you don't have to pay to park. I will answer the third one, but you could have just said yes, usually no. Mm-hmm. That's the answer.
Well, there you go.
No, but there's more to it, as you said. And also, so it is usually way more crowded during winter break when kids are out of school. So right now, kids are back in school. So during those weekday practices, it's crowded, but it's not like overwhelming. You'll find a spot to sit and enjoy. And I would highly recommend it. I've actually taken some people, some family that have been here out there to practice, and they get to sit there, and not even really hockey fans necessarily, but they really appreciate seeing the game up close, and you can see it much more up close than you can at a game, obviously, with a much more a smaller environment and be closer down to the ice, and I think you can really see kind of what's going on. So the practice schedule's out there. It's very accessible. You can find out when they're practicing, and as you said, 15 minutes early, get out there and enjoy the practice.
And you can see us maybe, because we're usually there. Come say hi. We're friendly people.
Yeah. if you can find us. We'll hide out, but if you can find us, we'll definitely say hi and talk to you. And by the way, not just practice days, morning skates also.
There you go.
So the day of the game, they're usually out there in the morning, not for long, but 15, 20 minutes on the ice. That's a good way to see the team as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there you go. That's all the questions we got in the Golden Edge mailbag for this week. Once again, a reminder that you can comment on our Facebook page on this video if you want to ask a question, or hit us up on Twitter at BenSGoats, at Adam Hill LVRJ, or email me at bgoats@reviewjournal.com. For Adam Hill, I'm Ben Goats. Thanks for watching, everybody.
He's 19 today, guys. Congratulate him.
Not at all accurate. Lies and slander.